Hi class, I just want to take a few minutes to update you on the critical response essay with a few clarifications. So I actually have a few things and I'm going to go through them one by one as if we were looking at this from an outline. So from the beginning of the introduction and to the main points and to the conclusion. So just keep in mind the strategies that we've already talked about related to brainstorming, outlining, using the Cornell note-taking. If any of those strategies are helpful for you, now is a great time to use them as well. So specifically related to the critical response essay, I do have a few things to share with you, meaning the first and foremost is some of you are asking, can we use the pronoun I in this essay? And so after looking at some of the resources, the example does suggest that it's okay for you to use I, but I, as your instructor, would prefer you not use I, and primarily for the reason of you are not necessarily an expert in this area, but you also have contributions and experiences. So there's kind of like that gray area of your level of expertise to actually speak on that topic. So if you can get away with it and still give personal experiences if you plan on using them, but not use them necessarily with the pronoun I would prefer that. I am not suggesting that you'll be marked down necessarily if you use the pronoun I. Just sometimes I've seen in my experience as a writing teacher, there is an overemphasis on the I experience and not enough on some of the other research or evidence that you can present to the argument. Okay, I will leave it at that. So beginning with the introduction, just make sure that you are grabbing your audience's attention and having a clear thesis statement that does include the title and the author of the article that you have summarized and are now critically responding to. So that thesis statement is not just a list of the main points, it is actually an argumentable thesis. So you might be saying this is right or wrong, this should or should not, or maybe this is better or worse, depending on the position of your critical response position. So I want to make sure that you're using stronger language here in your thesis statement to actually state a position that you agree or disagree with one or more points being presented in the article. So moving on to the summary and the critical response, the example does offer a summary as a separate section. So I'm okay with that if you want to clarify through headings that this is a summary. And pretty much, if you did well on your summary assignment, you can take a lot of those same sentences and points and include them into that summary section. I'm looking for about maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs. So this will kind of be a lead into the main points, if you will. Consequently, if you did not do well on your summary, you're going to have to revise some of that work for this critical response portion. For example, some of you may have included external sources, and that is not what we're going to be looking for. Just the one source is what we're referring to. Some of you also included an opinion on that summary and didn't focus necessarily on the summary side of things. So you're actually going to have to separate those, one for the summary section and one for the critical response section. Okay, so once you have your introduction, then you have your summary section, then you're going to have your critical response. I'm looking for about 2 or 3 paragraphs in that particular section. And so that would include maybe for each summarized point that you have, you're going to validate or refute or dispute that person's position with either your own experiences, common knowledge experiences, current events, other research that you have conducted. This is where some of those additional sources come in, and that is perfectly okay to do. I would limit it as much as possible. When I say that, maybe for each main point, you have 1, maybe 2 additional resources to counter that point or to agree with that point. So making sure that we have the introduction, then you have your summary paragraphs, then you have your critical response paragraphs, and then you have your concluding paragraph. Please do not forget the conclusion. You're kind of wrapping up all of those ideas, and you can kind of go by paragraph, what you stated, who the article was by, and where it was published, whether you agreed or the summary of it, then you agreed or disagreed, and then a final concluding statement. Essentially what you want to do is take that attention grabber and swing back to it. Let's say you had a rhetorical question at the beginning, maybe you answer that rhetorical question at the end. If you have a statistic at the beginning that you used, maybe you counter or agree with that statistic with another one at the end. It's a great way to kind of put everything together in a big circle. I'm circling my head right now as I'm watching myself. So I wish you all the best on putting those together. If you have any questions, let me know. I put this in a discussion if you have additional questions related to this particular topic. And I look forward to seeing your rough drafts published onto that assignment, but don't also forget that you're going to be publishing this again on the peer review side of things, so I can coordinate that partnership with you and another classmate. I'll see you soon. Bye.